All right, today we're going to dissect a really powerful and often invisible form of manipulation. We're breaking down the anatomy of gaslighting and, more importantly, how you can start to reclaim your own reality. Have you ever just walked away from a conversation, maybe an argument, and felt completely drained and just confused? You start asking yourself things like, wait, was I really wrong about that? Or did they just twist everything all around? That feeling, that unsettling doubt right there, that's often the very first red flag. And that question, well, that's your entry point into a really dark psychological loop. We're talking about gaslighting. It's this deliberate cycle of manipulation, and it's designed to slowly, systematically make you lose trust in your own mind. So you might be wondering, how does something like this even start? Well, it almost never begins with some big dramatic blow-up. Instead, as we're about to see, it all kicks off with just a tiny shadow of doubt. Yeah, forget all those shouting matches you see in the movies. Real-world gaslighting, it's way more insidious than that. It's not some loud declaration of war on your sanity. It's more like a quiet whisper of doubt planted in your mind, specifically so it can grow over time. And these whispers, they usually take the form of very specific, targeted phrases. They're the manipulator's main tools. So let's just call them what they are. They're weapons of deception. Okay, here's weapon number one. You're overreacting. This one is a classic, and wow, is it effective. It works by totally sidestepping what actually happened, and instead it attacks how you feel about it. And what that does psychologically is it flips the whole script. Suddenly, it's not about their behavior anymore, it's about your supposed instability. It makes you question not what you saw, but how you felt. And then you've got this one, which is just a direct assault on reality itself. That never happened. I mean, this is a full-on attack on your memory. It's designed to create something called cognitive dissonance. That's that intense mental stress you feel when you're trying to believe two opposite things at once. Your memory says one thing, they say another. And the goal? It's for you to get so stressed that you just abandon your own memory and accept theirs as the truth. This third weapon, it goes even further. You're imagining things. See, this isn't just denying a memory. This is dismissing your entire perception of the world as some kind of fantasy. It's basically saying your mind is broken, that it's unreliable. And that is so isolating because if you can't trust what you see and hear, you feel completely alone. Now look, on their own, any one of these might just seem like a dismissive comment, right? But when they're used over and over again, they're anything but harmless. Each one is like a tiny crack in the foundation of your self-trust. And eventually, enough of those cracks can bring the whole thing crashing down. And none of this happens by accident. It's a very deliberate process. So let's break down the manipulator's playbook. We'll call it the cycle of control. It really boils down to a simple, kind of scary three-step plan. First, they create confusion. Second, they invalidate your emotions. And third, they force you into a state of dependence. Let's dig into each of these. Okay, so step one is all about creating confusion. This is where they lay the groundwork. The gaslighter will actively rewrite history. They'll deny facts, they'll change key details of conversations you had, or insist things happened in a totally different way. Your own memory starts to feel like the enemy, and their version, the one that always makes them look good, is pushed as the one and only truth. Then comes step two, invalidate emotions. Once you're not even sure what the facts are anymore, they start to attack your feelings. So if you say you're hurt, they might just laugh it off. If you're scared, you're suddenly being dramatic. And this is the critical turning point, where you start to internalize all that blame, thinking, wow, maybe I am the problem here. And that leads right into the endgame. Step three, force dependence. I mean, think about it. When you can't trust your own thoughts or your own feelings, who are you going to turn to? Them. The manipulator positions themselves as the only stable anchor in your sea of confusion. They're the one who makes you feel lost, and then they pretend to be the one to guide you. It's a perfect trap, and it's exactly where they want you. But here's the thing about these cycles. They aren't foolproof. They're not unbreakable. Every story has a turning point, and in this one, we call it the breaking point. Because it doesn't matter how deep the manipulation goes, or for how long, something eventually shifts. And that shift, it can come from anywhere. It just starts as a tiny glimmer of hope. Maybe it's a small detail in their story that they forgot to twist, a contradiction your gut just can't let go of. Or maybe it's the simple, kind voice of a friend who just says, "Hey, are you okay? That doesn't sound right." Or sometimes a core memory just resurfaces with so much clarity that it finally cuts through all the noise. And in that moment of clarity, you have this profound realization. It just hits you. It wasn't you. Your reactions weren't wrong. Your memories weren't faulty. It was never, ever you. It was the cycle. So you have that light bulb moment. Now what? Well, this is where the real work and the real healing begins. This is the most important part of the journey, reclaiming your reality. You see, a manipulator's biggest ally is the silence and the isolation they create. Gaslighting needs that silence to survive. So breaking its power all starts with one single courageous step. You have to start listening to and trusting your own voice again. It might feel really quiet at first, like a whisper you've been ignoring for a long, long time. But that voice, it holds your truth. And just acknowledging it is the first act of defiance. This right here is the final battle. It's their script versus your truth. It's all about taking back the narrative one lie at a time. So when that voice in your head, their voice, says you're overreacting, your truth needs to answer back, no, my feelings are valid. And when they insist that never happened, your truth stands firm. My memory matters. This isn't just about arguing, it's about reclaiming your own mind. Every single time you affirm your truth, you dismantle a piece of their power. So what's the real takeaway here? It's that manipulation cannot survive in the light. It thrives in the shadows of doubt and silence. It loses all of its power the moment that truth is finally allowed to speak. And that truth, that power, it starts with you. Don't ever forget that.